Want to know how great webinars are run? Want to know what makes people in your webinar actually buy your product? Let me reveal the answer in this video. This is the only video you'll ever need to actually crack your webinars. Okay, to start a webinar, right? The first step really, and I'm going to be showing you a lot of steps to cover in a webinar, but the first step really is to figure out who is in the room. Why is this a very important piece of the puzzle, right? Firstly, who is in the room is a very easy question to answer, right? For example, I would say things like, okay, hey, this webinar, I'm going to be dealing with membership-based coaching and using AI to launch your membership-based coaching site in this session itself, right? But before I get started, I want to know what kind of coaching you do, what space is it in? Even if you're thinking of building a coaching business, what space is that in, right? So you saw what I did there, right? The objective of this is one, to know actually who's in the room, get them to start talking, right? And three, you have to give them a reason for why you want this information. Otherwise, you will find nobody's typing on the other side, right? So anytime you're asking them to do something, there has to be some reason for it as well, right? Even if the reason is, listen, I need feedback on whether you understood or not. If I don't know, how do I proceed? So please type in the chat. Once you know who is in the room, your next step really is to figure out what are their goals. Now, normally, if you're hosting a webinar, the goal would already be there in the advertising for the webinar, in your WhatsApp message, etc. So you could even start by saying something like, I'll tell you what I do, right? So what I do is, okay, if you're in the room, my assumption is that you want to become an online coach, right? I mean, is that a fair assumption over here, that this is your primary goal, become a best-selling online coach? Because if this is not, then let me know. I mean, I want to understand your goals on why you're here in this webinar, then I can at least help you during this webinar. Right. Now, why did you put in the concept of what goals do people want to chase, right? Because firstly, the role of a coach is to tell people what to want. You don't want to ask them this question and just wait for answers, right? What you're attempting to do is paint a big, hairy, audacious goal, right? Saying that this is the goal. So the role of a coach is to also tell people what to want. And this section, the goals section, is not about asking them, but almost planting a seed of what they should be wanting, right? Now, your next question really to them is, okay, so obviously, if this is your goal, then you would have done a few things already, right? You would have tried to solve this in a few ways. What are the problems that you're facing, right? When you're attempting to do this, what kind of problems are you facing in achieving the goal? Then people will kind of reply, right? Because why are we doing this entire thing as who's in the room, goals, problems? Because you're making it all about the listener and not all about you. You are saying, I am interested in your goals, I am interested in your problems, right? And my goal in this webinar is to solve those problems, right? Until you tell me those problems, I will not be able to solve them. So can you vocalize your problem? Now, let's say people will say advertising is very hard, posting on reels, don't know what to do, technology is very hard. I'm giving you what people say in my webinars. For you, it will obviously be different, right? But the point is to understand who is in the room, plant a big goal, and understand the problems they're facing in achieving that goal, right? Let them vocalize the problems. Let them tell you the problems, right? Okay, what is the next step after problems? Solutions, right? So if they have a problem, you would have said, see, if this is such a big problem for you, you've obviously tried to solve this problem in some way, right? What are the ways that you have tried to solve this problem, and what was hard about it, or what was not working, right? Just let me know in the chat, right? So let's say if they say a problem of sales, right? So how have you tried to solve sales? How did you try to get leads, right? Now, once you get into this, right, there's a problem that sales is not happening, right? They have been trying some solution like, oh, okay, everybody is saying you have to become an influencer, so let's keep posting on social media. So I actually do this in my webinars as well, right? Actually ask them, okay, so how many of you are posting daily on social media? How many of you are getting results from that, right? And of course, problems need not just be one. There could be multiple problems. Like I talk about no course, building a course first, then social media, then I talk about one-time sales being a problem, right? So I can talk about multiple problems, right? And then say why whatever solution they're trying to find for themselves, right, is the wrong one, right? And therefore, see, all of coaching, the most important thing is this. There is an old way they're solving a problem. You are giving them a new way of solving a problem. This is the crux of all coaching, right? They are just saying you are following an old, ineffective, slow, expensive, process. I'm going to give you new, faster, cheaper, better solution, right? Now, this is all of coaching is, right? But once you introduce your new way, people will obviously have the question, hey, does this work? Which is why the next step in coaching, in your webinar, is to show them proof. Proof could be that you have actual students who have tried this, or proof could be it's worked on yourself, right? Or proof could be that there is research journals and let's say books written on this topic, right? Or whatever. So you basically have to figure out how to prove to people that, hey, this is not just some fancy idea that I came up with because I overslept one day or whatever, right? But that it's well thought out and that this will work for you, right? So the whole of coaching, any coaching, is old way and new way, right? Now, the important thing to understand about new way is it doesn't have to genuinely be a new way. It's not like, oh, it has to be AI. It has to be something completely groundbreaking, path-breaking. It has to be new to the person facing the problem. Like, for example, when people are trying to acquire clients today, I actually say the old way is reels and posting on social media, etc. The new way is to run an ad, right? Not that running ads is an actual new way, right? Running ads is like probably 100-year-old method, right? But to the person who's only attempting to acquire leads through referrals and through posting on social media, for them, this new way is like, oh, okay, so this new way is better than whatever old way I am using, right? And the reason, the proof for that, maybe it's 100-year-old method, right? So all I'm trying to drive at is, don't think of new way as something that is genuinely new and path-breaking and never been seen before. It has to be new to the person using this solution, and of course, the new way needs to be something you are good at. Once you've done this, you're trying to answer the question, why you? Because they'll say all of this is great. Okay, these are my goals. This was the problem achieving the goal. You have told me a new way to solve it. You have given me proof that it works, right? Why you? Now, this is where your backstory comes in, where you say, how did you get into this space? How did you become passionate? What kind of problems you faced yourself or you saw someone else face? How you solved it for yourself, right? And then why you're taking it to the world, right? Why you're taking it to the world may be like your mission statement, right? Your story of, what kind of impact you want to create, right? And where you see the largest impact being possible. But why you is a function of your backstory, your credentials, what have you achieved, right? And three, of course, your mission. Right? So you need to have these three components. The stronger these three components are, because all of coaching is not just buying the problem and solution, but it's really buying this coach, right? You're selling yourself. You are the product. So therefore, you not only have to say what your knowledge is, right? You have to say how it will help them. And three, you have to prove that, yes, you are the best person to learn from, right? So that's important. Once you have done this, right, you've actually completed the solution, the proof, you said why you. Now you're jumping into what is the investment that they need to make, right? So you're going to be introducing your programs, you're going to be introducing your levels, right? You're going to tell them what each level costs, right? Not just in terms of money, right? There's a cost in terms of money. There's also a cost in terms of time investment. Like, let's say if you are expecting from them that they're going to put in 10 hours a week, tell them that, and see if they are ready, right? My sincere request to most people is keep time investment low. Most people don't have enough time, right? They may pay you the money, but they may not invest the time, right? So the easier, the faster you can get them at least to a level 1 outcome where they start believing, yes, they can, right? That makes a lot more sense. But not only should you be talking about the investment, you should probably be comparing it with the old way and how that was expensive. 3, you need to be talking about the ROI on that investment. How much will they make, or what will happen? What is the result of investing this, right? Why should they invest? And what is the return that is possible on this investment? Now, this is really the next step where you're talking about investment in terms of time, money, and ROI. Once you have talked about the investment, right, you need to clearly tell them what they get in return, right? What do they get? Are they getting live sessions? So live, recorded, etc. What are the key outcomes, right, that they can expect? Like what will happen by the end of month 1? What is the key outcome? What will they learn in that period? What kind of tools, templates, etc. will you be exposing them to, right? And what problems will they solve for them? All of this they will need clarity on. So you will have to ensure that you're not just talking about the investment, but next, once you invest this is what you get in return. And this entire process, you are not just doing for one level, right? This entire process you're doing for multiples levels. So level 1, level 2, level 3. Why are you doing this for multiple levels? Because even though you may be trying to get people to sign up for a 5-day challenge, you're not trying to end your relationship with them there. You're trying to tell them, remember your goals are here, right? What am I going to do in this challenge? Get you from here to here, right? There's also this and this, right? So there's 4 levels to go past, right? To get to the goal that you've set for yourself. I didn't set that goal. You've planted that goal in their heads, right? So you are just trying to say, listen, what will happen in this challenge? You'll get here, right? Then here, then here, then here, right? So you can keep putting each level, the price of the level, the investment required, what they will learn, the key outcomes. Once they understand this, right, they know that it is worth it, right? They'll understand that it is worth it. And of course, I think that's the way to build out to present how can people work with you. Once they have understood this, right? Goals, problems, solutions, proof, why you, and then what is the investment, what they get. Now, this is where instead of having silence in your webinar and just saying bye, now you have to go beyond, right? Now you're still keeping the conversation all about your program, all about what they're going to get. Now you start giving them a preview, right? What is a preview? It could live demo in that session itself, where you do a live interactive workshop, for example, with people, right? The second way to do this is that you actually invite them for a completely separate demo session. Like for example, if you're in the fitness space, you may say, okay, demo class tomorrow, right? You may do that. Or the third way to do this is to share your screen and show people what is going to happen, content they get access to, what are the templates, how will it help them. You're doing all of this by sharing your screen, right? So that's another piece that you can look at. The preview step is a very important step in causing trust, right? Because so far what you have done is you've only used words. What we're doing with preview is seeing is believing, right? So experience is believing, right? So if you experience a session live, then you know what the rest of the sessions are going to be like, and therefore you're more confident to make that payment, right? If just seeing is, or you can even share screen and show people, because till then all you have done is talked, right? It is not a bad thing. Obviously, it still builds trust. But the ultimate proof of trust at some level is seeing is believing. You're trying to help them see a preview, share your screen, show them what is going to happen once they buy. All of this is what your goals are. Now, let's say they're ready, right? Now you're almost at the fag end. You're trying to introduce some urgency in the purchase. How do you introduce urgency? Okay, now let's say everything is done and they're reasonably convinced that yes, One, your solution is good, you are good, your price is good, right? They've already determined this. Now you need to cause some urgency in the purchase. You need to try and make them buy now. Otherwise, what will happen is they'll take all of this back and they'll say, "हाँ ठीक है, सोचते हैं," right? We'll think about it, right? And this is what you want to try and avoid. It's not completely avoidable, right? But you want to try and avoid. You want to get some people to make a decision at least during the webinar itself. Now, how do you introduce urgency? There are three broad ways to introduce urgency. One is by having a webinar only price, and you have to be serious about that webinar only price. When I say serious, it's not that if someone buys 4 days ago or 4 days later, you don't make it available to them again, but it should not be always on your website, right? You have to try and take it off. You bring it back if someone says, "Hey, listen, I attended your webinar and you showed me that price. Can I get it for that price?" Don't disappoint them. Just give it to them at that price, right? Makes sense. Now, the next step really is, if you have a webinar only price, the other way to cause urgency is to say that your program starts tomorrow. So doing your webinar one day before and starting your program the next day just introduces crazy urgency, which otherwise is not possible. They have to make a decision today because it starts tomorrow, right? Or at maximum starts on Monday or starts on the 1st, whatever you think is the nearest date, right? And I know some of you will be worried about starting so quickly because you've done a webinar, at least your first one, you'll be a little tense. Don't be, right? If you're truly an expert at what you do, you will figure it out and you will be miles ahead of the audience that's in the room. And you can make do with what you don't have in the form of content by giving some extra one-on-one help or hand-holding people, etc. There's one more way to build urgency, and that is the limited seats. Like, let's say if you are doing something where your time is at a premium, like you're doing one-on-one coaching, or you're going to be taking a small batch and hand-holding each one of them, or there's a done-for-you program, then you only have limited seats because you have only that much time, right? So therefore, what you're doing is you're showing people and telling people, "I have only these many seats," and tell them there's a reason for these limited seats. Right? Don't fake it. "Oh, I have only limited seats." Don't show limited seats for an unlimited program. Like, let's say you're selling a video based course. Don't say limited seats for that. All of that is just fake urgency, right? Try to have genuine urgency. If the program starts tomorrow, what can you do? You have to join, right? If you have only X amount of time, there's only that much I can fill. So this is genuine urgency. Right? Okay. I hope you have got it. No fake urgencies. Genuine urgencies need to be infused. Of course, a webinar only price at some level is a fake urgency, right? I mean, because you're trying to give them a deal to make a decision right now. But that's how it is. I mean, that deal needn't be available to non-webinar participants, right? So actually, if you're a webinar participant, you know this deal exists. Otherwise, if people had come directly on your website and bought, they wouldn't have got it, right? So that's what I mean by a webinar only deal. Next, once you have introduced urgency, you also need to do something called reducing risk, right? Because people should not feel a little uncomfortable. "Arey, he's asking me to buy right now," right? This kind of thing happens, where they're a little, jittery, right? So, two easy things that you can do is to introduce a money back guarantee, saying that, "Listen, all the people, if you're taking a decision today, you have this period of time, let's say 1 week, to test everything out, join my live sessions, do all of that. If you're not happy, you can just request a money back thing, and there will be a no questions asked money back guarantee given to you," right? So and honor that, right? So don't just lip sync it, honor it, right? The second piece of the way to reduce risk is to actually bring down your like, let's say if you're selling a high ticket level 2 or level 3 program, people can ideally buy into that directly as well. Then you're trying to bring down what is their commitment price, right? So let's say you could break it up into EMIs, right? So you can say, "Hey, all you need to do today to commit is pay the first EMI." Like, let's say you're selling a 1 lakh program, only 30,000 is what you're paying right now. You can pay the rest, in installments, right? That reduces risk to some extent. Another way to do this is, "Hey, okay, if you want to join my 1 lakh or 2 lakh program and you want to schedule a call with me to understand this better and how it can actually solve your problems, then you can book a call for just $9.99, right? So this is a scheduler call. You're not asking them to pay 1 lakh, you're asking them to take a mini step, right? It's like getting them to take a small step and buy with you. So this is like a strategy call level where you get to talk to only interested people, right? Because they at least put $9.99 down. Otherwise, what will happen is, if you just open up and say anyone can request a call, then you don't know how serious the other side is. If they've put down $9.99, at least they're serious, right? That's the point. Finally, you can do all of this, and yet there will be people who are interested but will not buy. Now, this is a very normal process. Many of them will attend multiple webinars of yours before making a purchase. You need a strong method for a follow-up. This follow-up could be manual, just via WhatsApp, via call, via email, a manual method. There are also automated ways to follow up: email drip campaigns, remarketing campaigns, etc. Of course, in further levels, we'll be talking about automation once you reach that stage and that becomes a problem for you, right? Today, just focus on, the webinar selling process. The reason a webinar takes so long, right? I normally suggest 90 to 120 minutes. It's because you need to cover all of these points, right? So it's not just a quick spiel. You need to do this interactively. You need to talk to people. You need to ask them to put stuff in the chat, right? All of this, especially when you're asking them, hey, tell me your problems, put it down in the chat. Is this a problem? Put it down in the chat, right? How have you tried the solution? How many of you have tried? Let me know. So things like this. So because it's interactive, there's easy 90 to 120 minutes that this will need, even sometimes beyond, right? And once you have understood that this is the real structure to follow, right, you will not be like, oh, okay, and you understand why you're following this structure, right? Then you're not going into like some formula, like, oh, okay, 90 to, in the first 10 minutes do this, in the next 20 minutes do this, the next 30 minutes. Your goal is to approximately plan your 90 to 120 minutes so that you can cover these sections. And once you understand the fundamentals of how this works, you will be in a better position to actually apply it. What I would strongly suggest is taking a screenshot of this page, right, and putting it up as a screenshot on your laptop, right, whenever you're doing the webinar, so that you can quickly switch screen and see what is my next step, what should I be focusing on, right? So that's from me. My name's Ishwar. This was the complete webinar selling strategy. I hope it was useful for you. And let me know in the comments below. I would love to know when you actually use it and go live in your first webinar as well. And that's it from me, Ishwar from Unsolved Network. We are building the world's simplest AI-based coaching platform. If you want to use AI to launch your coaching business, if you want to not just do one-time sales, but recurring revenue in the form of memberships and subscriptions, then you will find Unsolved Network extremely useful for that purpose. Jump in, check it out. It's me signing off until I get to another video.